Hello and welcome to some more Star Citizen news. We've got some more Alpha 3.24 patch progress for you, as well as a summary of the latest inside Star Citizen that took a look at server meshing and the push towards Alpha 4.0. So, Alpha 3.24 progress, the cargo patch. So Alpha 3.24 is still in EVOCATI at time of recording. CIG are trying to push towards releasing to Wave 1 PTU as soon as possible though. There were rumours that it was going to be for this weekend. However, cargo hauling missions, cargo commodity rebalancing, and the blockade runner mission set or event are still not ready for testing, and there remains some known issues that are relatively egregious that CIG want to address. So it's more likely to be sort of next week now, in my opinion, but we'll have to wait and see. In the latest patch on the 3rd of July for EVOCATI, they made some further improvements to aerodynamics of ships to enable yaw more, and they set all small hangars to size 2 to let size 3 ships spawn in medium hangars. For example, now a Crusader Spirit will be spawned in a medium-sized hangar. There were some quite important fixes. They fixed the ATC missing vehicle inventory after a server crash recovery. There were problems with the ASOP terminals in personal hangars toggling in and out of focus when being used. Now, they fixed a major cause of this, but they are watching out for more. Multiple areas across Area 18 had Viz area and portal issues. The Nomad's remote turret displayed 3 badger weapons in its HUD, and they fixed 1 client and 4 server crashes. Now, there are still a load of known issues, and I'm going to go through some of the most egregious here. There's a high chance that personal hangars don't open when contacting the ATC. Frame rates can dramatically drop if players own too many items or try and spawn them in freight elevators. They can also cause crashes at high levels. Flashing artifacting can be seen when looking in certain directions sometimes. AI are not spawning at certain locations or not moving after spawning. Players cannot hear other players on VoIP. Turrets can get stuck firing nowhere near their target. Transit will intermittently desync off course. Issues with hostility not getting wiped. You're unable to activate EMPs. There are issues with backpack reloading, and there are problems with plotting routes to planetside locations while in orbit. So some of this stuff is essential to be solved before wider PTU, and certainly before a live build. Obviously, some of that stuff has not started testing yet. That doesn't prohibit the fact they might release a Wave 1 PTU ASAP, but yeah, it is going to be, I suppose, ASAP in the literal sense of as soon as possible, or as soon as sensible. There is a lot of cool stuff in that patch, from manual loading and unloading of cargo to the customization of your hangar and just ease of using your own personal hangar. Anyway, something that's coming in the next major patch, server meshing. So there was a Inside Star Citizen dev diary server meshing where they talked about how they got to where they are with server meshing now. So late last year, the tech preview channel was used to test tech geared towards server meshing and Pyro. Server meshing is a fundamental change to the way Star Citizen operates. The tech preview channel helped them bug fix, optimize, and improve their systems. These are typically going to be builds that are open to many people, but they can be really potentially very unstable as an EVOCATI build. But yeah, it's another way of testing to test new tech on a build they know works, and then they add this new feature in and then see if it breaks and try and get feedback from it. So the replication has already been split out from the dedicated game servers, the DGSs, and it runs its own hybrid service. The replication layer had a load of teething issues when they first implemented it, but it's actually pretty stable now. This came with server crash recovery as well, which is essential for server meshing. It works by having the replication layer copy the state of the server to a new one, and then connects the players from the old one to the new one as seamlessly as possible. The first tests with this, they learnt that it worked, and they were incredibly happy with that, but these tests also had crash recovery times being like up to 30 minutes for a server, but now that's down to a couple of minutes, and they're trying to get it even more improved than that. Everything has to function perfectly for Star Citizen, for all this tech to have their vision of an MMO, or at least to have their vision of the tech that drives that MMO. They had issues like cyclical crashing, where the state that was being copied was corrupt, and then it kept on trying to load, but it would crash and then try and load in again in an infinite cycle. When they came back after Christmas, when they came back after the end of year holidays at the start of 2024, they had put in a load of improvements and fixes, but they were trying to deal with issues of significant delays in player and item interaction. It was some sort of serialized variable spamming messaging across the servers that was causing this, but they kept improving it and getting it better. They were able to optimize and rework some systems that allowed them to push forwards towards server meshing for 4.0, and that's sort of like the goal. So they then actually started testing server meshing with 2 servers connected to a single shard or replication layer. On February 29th, they tested Pyro and Stanton being connected together with server meshing as well. There was a last-minute issue, though, with the tests that meant that they couldn't have jump points in, which was a bit of a shame. Although it didn't have that functionality, the server meshing aspect worked. It's one of the biggest milestones that Star Citizen had sort of hit, because their long-awaited server meshing tech, it worked. It was functional. Effectively, multiple servers being handled by the hybrid service. Crash recovery was working on the server too, and players could spawn in Saturn, players could spawn in Pyro, and play the game. Some of the devs at CIG were expecting a lot more teething issues and problems, but it just worked in a lot of these cases. A lot of what they were doing was very unique as well, and yeah, they thought they would see more teething issues with that, but they didn't. But they saw some, obviously. March 7th came around, and they successfully tested players moving between star systems with server meshing. So you could move between Stanton and Pyro. It was a bit buggy. It was a bit fiddly. You had to queue at the jump point and then align yourself, and then when it told you to go, you had to go very quickly when it was your turn. Being there and doing it myself, it was quite exciting, and there was a lot of hype and buzz from the community. This is the most major milestone ever. I was able to move between Stanton, go through that jump point, go to Pyro, mess around, come back. It was untextured, the jump point transitions. It was sort of this grey mess, but it was working. Many years of work by many teams had come together to make server meshing real. It worked. They then moved on to the subdivision of a single system, Stanton, into multiple servers. They tried multiple configurations, different player caps, different boundaries and distributions of planets, moons and gameplay area, going all the way up to having 6 dedicated servers on a single shard, sharing Stanton with 800 players, mostly as a stress test. This brought a load of new bugs to solve. Quantum travel would stop you at server boundaries. Missions would drop when moving between servers. But a load of things like movement of cargo, EVAing, and combat worked between servers. Alpha 3.23 actually brought the replication layer and server crash recovery into the live build of the game for backers. It worked pretty well straight away and is pretty optimized now. This was largely due to all the previous testing though. There is still a lot to do, and there are more tests underway. Every system is affected by server meshing. There will be more tech preview tests moving towards 4.0. The devs said that they have never lost faith in the tech and they knew it would work, but it was rocky at times, and no other game company would have entertained the length of time and risk needed to develop server meshing in the way that they did. They were honestly amazed by how smoothly the server meshing tests and implementation is going so far anyway. There's always room for improvement though. One of the devs had been working on bits and pieces for this for almost 10 years. This is all leading to static server meshing coming in Alpha 4.0, which is pegged to come out some point this year, between the end of summer and probably CitizenCon in October. They will then optimize it and get as many players as sensible per server and as many servers per replication layer as they can, and then after that, they move on to dynamic server meshing, which will have the dedicated game servers being managed by server population and area load. Could there be some sort of catastrophic implosion like they did with 3.18? Yeah, they could. It's much less likely because they've got those tech preview builds and they're going to be testing it vigorously during EVOCATI and PTU phases, but they're as they did with 3.18, as they did with the entity streaming, persistent entity streaming stuff, they'll get it fixed, they'll get it into a good state, and then they'll move on from it. Boom! That's it for your updates on server meshing, moving towards 4.0, and the latest 3.24 information that we have for that cargo patch. I'm hoping they get a build out for the weekend for First Wave PTU, although it's much more likely it'll be next week now, and there's just too many issues that they're trying to solve, but we'll have to wait and see. Maybe they will push it, Who knows? Tell me what you think in the comments below. Have you been playing that 3.24 EVOCATI build? What are your thoughts on that? When do you think it will actually go to live? Do you think they'll hit a date by the end of July for the live build for 3.24? Are you excited for server meshing? Are you excited for more playtests coming to server meshing and the Pyro Playground? I was hoping that they were going to be running Pyro Playground on the last set of tests they ran a little while ago, but they didn't. They just ran Stanton system with more sort of configurations for the servers. But tell me what you think, and are you going to be getting involved in those tests when they become available, or are you waiting for stuff to be a bit more stable and more fleshed out and actually experienced as it's supposed to be experienced? Because I do believe that me going through the jump point in the playtests when it was untextured, it sort of takes something away from when I actually try it when it's all there, right? Because I know it works and I've got less wow factor. I don't know. I'm sort of interested to know what you think, though, in the comments below.
I'm a futuristic cyborg sent back in time for one purpose. Give me your boots, your jacket, and your nordvpn.com/BoredGamer. Get NordVPN if you want to live on the internet. It's the only thing that will protect you against Skynet and my Terminator impression.
It gives you greater accessibility, security, and privacy on the internet as well. You should use the links below. Every month, we have a ship giveaway. For July, we're giving away a Constellation Taurus. This workhorse allows you to do some solid cargo running, as well as some combat and room for a small crew. It's just a great all-round mission runner and awesome ship to experience Star Citizen with. This comes with access to the game and lifetime insurance as well. All you need to do to be in for a chance of winning that is comment on any of my videos made during July. Each video is another chance to win. More details in the description below. Please consider supporting the channel with the join button under my videos or via Patreon, links below to all of that. It goes a long way in helping us to be able to make daily Star Citizen content and Zin's lore videos, all that sort of jazz. Thank you so much to all the glorious members that already do that. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You can always help as well by sharing, liking, subscribing, and getting involved in the comments section. And thank you very much for those of you that watched to the end. It is appreciated.